No, I've got crap in the corner.
So why can't I keep lifting the same size weights over and over again, or doing the same exercises over and over again? Like, I feel comfortable in what I'm doing and I really don't want to change up my program. But my coach, she keeps saying to me, you need to change things up. And she keeps giving me different things to do. And so I want to understand why that is the case. Now, this is a common question that we get, and we get a lot of resistance to this, don't we, Sal?
So much resistance.
Yeah, so much resistance. And look, there are loads of great reasons why doing the same exercise program is a benefit to us, because we know it, we feel comfortable with it, we like it, and it's easy, so we're going to keep doing it. And that's a good thing, because at least we are doing something. So that's a really, really positive thing in the first place. But, you know, there are lots of different reasons why changing it up, mixing it up, is important to us. And I think the first one that I want to start off with, Sal, is that getting better. So, you know, they call it progressive overload. So when we start to lift things that are heavier, it means that we continue to make some level of progress. We improve our strength, we improve our fitness, you know, our muscles become challenged more, which means we're getting better at doing it. So, and I think that's a really, really good reason to look at doing something just that little bit different.
Definitely.
You got anything to add on that?
I just want to add, I often explain to the ladies how the muscles actually work when we do strength train. So what happens is we've got all these little fibers, and this is I explain this to them so they understand why we push to lift heavier. And so we have all these little fibers in our muscles that when we do strength training, they tear. And I like to compare it to a piece of rope. You know, if that rope is continually being used, it's going to tear and tear and tear.
Yeah.
And what happens is that we might go and get some duct tape to wrap that, you know, that piece of rope up so it stays stronger, or what, you know. So that's what happens with our muscles. They tear, but immediately they're starting to repair again. So that's where that strength's coming in. They're getting stronger. So when you lift heavier, they're going to tear a little bit more, but they're going to get used to that. So then you want to go in and lift heavier again when they're used to it. So then as they repair, they're repairing stronger. Those fibers are getting stronger.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, because that was the second thing that I had on my list as well too, was in regards to, you know, targeting different muscle fibers. So, you know, when we use those lighter weights and we do more repetitions with the lighter weights, we're targeting those slow twitch fibers. And then we use the heavier weights with less repetitions. What we're doing is targeting those fast twitch fibers, which therefore means that, you know, when we mix it up and we use light weights and heavy weights and, you know, medium-sized weights, it means that we are targeting all of those different muscle fibers. So we are improving. And that's what it's about, is, you know, as we're aging, you know, we're against it really, because our muscle is starting to decline in our body, and so is our flexibility. And so if we don't do that little bit extra, then it means that we will start to take those steps backwards.
It does. You know, and we have seen it in the studio where we have had, you know, women lifting those heavier weights. They have an injury and then they go back to the lighter weights, and that's where they stay. They don't want to challenge themselves to go back up to those heavier weights. And I think it's very important you do, because, you know, let's face it, taking it into everyday life, our groceries aren't getting lighter. Washing baskets aren't getting lighter.
No, no.
There's still that heaviness about them. So you want to keep that strength up.
Yeah. Or you even start to, like I've noticed at the supermarkets, they'll only put so many pieces of groceries into a bag. And I will often say, no, load that up.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, we're only allowed to put this amount in there. And I go, well, give it to me and I'll load it up, because, you know, I would sooner carry 4 full bags than have 8 half bags.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And doing trips back and forth to the car.
Yeah, because I can carry
Yeah.
I can carry the 4 bags in one go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think the other thing, Sal, is that when we're mixing it up, we're also going to make sure that we're taking care of those muscle balance and symmetry that we want to take care of. We often see that there's those imbalances, and that's quite natural because we're either right or left dominant. But what can happen is that, you know, if we're doing an exercise that, you know, one side, our right side, let's say we're right dominant, if we're doing that exercise and, you know, that left side can work at a lower level because the right side's going to compensate, right's getting stronger, left's getting weaker. So having a good mix of exercises where you got to actually use both sides of your body, it means that you're going to avoid those muscle imbalances. And of course, if we get those imbalances, you know, we're more than likely going to have alignment issues, and that's going to impact our balance. And of course, the last thing that we want to do is have a fall either.
Yeah. 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 I think too, having the mix of different weights and different exercise is great for cognitive health.
Oh,
It
totally.
gets you thinking. It gets you thinking because we can get used to doing, you know, back in the 90s when we go to aerobics or step or any of those classes, and we'd know before we got in there. If you'd been going for a while, you'd know what the routine was.
Yes.
You know, so you're just going through the motions. Whereas if I think when you're mixing it up, you and we talk about this all the time, you're in the moment, you're in your workout, because you have to think about what the exercise is. You have to think about lifting heavy and making sure you're doing it correctly. So it's great for cognitive health as well.
It is. I just find it so useful for emotional and mental well-being, Sal. And as you know, my hubby's been going through a lot of stuff. He's been in hospital now for weeks on end. And that has meant, that my whole routine has changed, but I have that fallback position. And the one thing that I look forward to, and it doesn't matter, I might be getting home at 11 o'clock at night or 2 o'clock in the morning, but I still go to the workout room and I still lift my heavy weights. And I might only do 1 set. I might do 3, but it just depends. But I'm focused on me, my body, and I don't have to think about anything else. I am just with that thing. And it makes me feel stronger in my body because I am lifting the heavy weights. It also helps me emotionally and mentally to be able to keep doing what I need to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
definitely a mood booster and a mood changer.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I think the other thing about changing it up, mixing it up all the time is that it prevents plateaus happening. And we often hear that, I've done fantastic. I've lost, 5-10 kilos, but I can't shift that last 2 kilos. If weight loss is the thing that you're, trying to achieve. And that is because our body has become used to what we're doing, what we're eating, how we're exercising, how we're moving. And so if we just simply change it up in some way, and it doesn't have to be a big change, you know, if we went to lighter weights and did, you know, a lot more repetitions, or we went to heavier weights and just did less repetitions, that the body's going to go, oh, hang on a minute, what's she doing to me? I've got to respond to this.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
I've got to find out what she's doing, figure out what she's doing. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And I think the other aspect of it is to do with this functional strength. And we often hear this word out and about in the industry. And functional just means that it mimics the movements that we do in everyday activities. And you've already mentioned this, you know, lifting your groceries and lifting your laundry basket. And so if you think about exercise, and particularly there are so many exercises that you can do that mimic the activities in life, you are going to be able to do the things you want to do in life. A simple squat, you know, everybody knows what a squat is. But if you think about how many times do you get up and down in the day? How many times do you get out of a chair? How many times do you get out of the bed? How many times do you go to the bathroom? This is just a squat. But what we can tend to do is that we can limit that range of motion in that squat. So we can keep it at this chair level. And yet, if you think about those countries overseas where they're going to the bathroom that is on the ground, they're sitting on the ground. If you go to Japan, you know, everything's on the ground. There are not as many hip replacements, knee replacements, lower back pain in those countries because they've got that functional movement in that joint and those muscles.
And it's strong because they're getting down low, you know, thinking about a squat now, they're getting down low.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, you know, there are just so many basic movements that we can make, exercises that we can make that are going to keep us moving for the long haul. Because if we can't do that, then it means that we're not going to be able to take care of ourselves. And I know that, you know, thinking long term is such a difficult thing for any of us to do, you know, to look forward and go, you know, what's the next 20 years going to be like for me? What's the next 30 years going to be like for me? You know, and we get told that we want to live in this moment, which we do. But if we don't think about, you know, that long-term impact, then we don't have that sense of urgency to make more of an effort now. And we're going to give ourselves all those excuses not to.
Yeah. And it's not just how it's going to impact your life. Imagine how what that impact is, you know, not being able to drive your car, increased falls, injuries.
Yeah.
And we're not talking injuries in exercise, you know, it could be an injury sitting down or standing up or getting in and out of your car, any sort of injury.
Yeah.
So it impacts all those sort of things when you're not doing strength training. And, you know, the amount of research and studies that you and I've looked into and how important as we age strength training is.
Yeah.
So important.
Yeah.
And I think people have that mindset of, it won't happen to me. I'm good now. But will you be good tomorrow? Will you not fall tomorrow? Yeah.
Exactly right. You know, Paul has a series of exercises that he needs to do for hand movement because he has no movement in his hand. And, you know, he actually yesterday finally said that, you know, we've 4 or 5 weeks into it now, and he's gone, I just noticed there is a little bit more movement. And I've gone, I have actually been saying that. I can see it, but you can't see it there. It's a fraction, like, minuscule. If you're not looking for it, you're not going to see it. And he protests like anything when I go, okay, let's do these exercises. But now he's starting to see, he's actually seeing it himself. He's going, okay, well, I need to do that. But one of the things that, they're focused on is this hand movement. And I said to him, okay, we're going to do sit to stands. Come on, you got to get up. And one of the things that I noticed was, he was pushing off with his hand, and he would never do that. And so I said, okay, I want you to put your hand on your leg. And so he did that. And then all of a sudden, yesterday, I said to him, look at you. Your hands are out here. You're not using your hands anymore, because now your muscles in your legs are starting to work again. I said, and these are the things that are going to help you get back to where you were. So even though it's a pain in the backside and you hate me saying, okay, let's go for a walk, let's do some sits to stands, let's do your hand exercises, it is about you helping yourself get back to where you want to be so you can do the things you want to do.
And let's be very, very clear. Falls and injuries are not old lady things. These are not things that just happen when you're 90. No. My brother-in-law had a complete knee reconstruction yesterday. He's 40 years old.
Yes.
40. So these are not things that happen when you're 90 years old.
No.
So the earlier you start doing strength training, the more you will, we can't promise that it will never happen, but you're going to prevent it. You're going to postpone if anything will happen.
Yeah. And it is those functional movements that are so important. That,
yes,
standing on one leg. Like, let's face it, we can stand on one leg whilst we're doing the dishes. We can practice balance when you're doing other things. So you can make it a little bit of fun, and you can incorporate it into your daily life as well. Yeah. So, Sel, to wrap it up, what would be the key tip that you would give when someone was hesitant to, picking up that next size weight and challenging themselves?
I would say to them, think about when you first picked that weight up and you had a little bit of fear and hesitancy then. Compare yourself to now, and don't let that fear and hesitancy come back into it.
Yeah.
Because you were able to do it earlier, or to start with, you're able to do it to start with. So there's no reason why you can't do it now.
Yeah. The one thing that I always come back to is that most of our ladies have grandkids, or they have dogs or cats. They have an animal. It's like, how much does that child or that animal weigh? And if you need to be able to pick that child up or that animal up and comfort it or rush it to the hospital or the doctors, can you do it? And I will always get, yes, I can. And so then it's like, well, then why the heck are you using 2 4-kilo weights when that child or that dog weighs 20 kilos? So to put it into perspective, come back to the everyday life thing that you want to do. And what do I need to do in my exercise program that is going to support that?
Definitely.
Thanks, Sel, for joining me today.
Thank you, as always, for having me.
You're very welcome. Thank you, ladies, for joining us. I hope you got something out of it. I hope that you're inspired to actually just try that little bit more to get it done, so that it means that you are able to do the things that you love and enjoy in life. So take care, and we'll see you soon. Bye, Sel.
Bye. Bye.